All right. Now we asked the question, are the 49ers meeting expectations? And it's still very, very early. So now the question is this. Do you believe that the 49ers have a big move up their sleeve before this free agency period is over? And that could be through trade. Doesn't necessarily have to be through free agent. But let's just say before the draft, do they have a big move up their sleeve that is going to happen, in your opinion?
Yeah, I do believe that there is going to be a move that's made that gets us all excited. Potentially for me, it's going to be in the secondary. There's a lot of good cornerbacks that are free agents, and there's also some really good cornerbacks that seem to be available through trade. I think that the 49ers do pull the trigger on something like that, or along the offensive line. I don't know who would be that move, but to me, I do think that we haven't had an off season where they don't at least make one splash, Jesse, whether it be through trade or bringing in through free agency. I just don't expect them to stop now, especially when they've been getting so close, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because I thought that the 49ers would make a big move. Um, I guess it just depends on what you constitute a big move. I think it's going to have to be through trade, whatever it is, for a younger, cheaper player that is a good player but still cheap at this moment. That's the one way that I think a big move is possible. I don't know that it's possible through free agency just because of the money that's available and everybody who's already been signed. I don't know that big move can happen through free agency. So if it does happen, I think it's going to happen through trade. I will say this. I know the 49ers have been very active on that front. They've been making a ton of calls. And so I've got to think that they're going to keep pressing until they get something done. So, yeah, I'll go with it. I think they make a trade of some sort, a big ish move that kind of gets everybody back on board with how the offseason's going and reels everybody right back in. So I got to believe that the 49ers know that what they're doing is not enough. It's not it. Like this is not winning you the Super Bowl. And really, the money that you have available is more moves probably like this through free agency. You're going to have to make a trade for a younger, cheaper player that's an impact player that eventually you will have to pay, but is maybe a year or so away from that. So I'm going to go with yes as well, but I think it happens through trade. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, look, the way Bosa's mom has been posting things, and we know what she wants the 49ers to do, but I don't,
That to me is not a big move. That to me I think would be a mistake,
yeah, I
personally.
agree. I agree. I think that's more name than benefit, obviously. And it wouldn't make sense with the trajectory of what the 49ers have done this offseason, for better or for worse, whether you like the moves or not. One thing that's consistent with the guys that they brought in, Jesse, they're durable. They've, played 90%, if not, some played 100% of the games that they've been, starting. And
Other than Gross Montos, but the other two have been very durable, yes.
yeah, so I mean, obviously they value that, and I think that goes a long way as to why we saw last season with less injuries to derail us like in previous years, because they've started putting value on players and looking at their previous health history as an indicator of whether or not they should, invest in them or not. So Joey Bosa wouldn't fit that criteria other than the fact that he's a Bosa, but I agree with you. I think it could be a trade. Um, but I also, we'll see. But I don't think they're done, and I do think there's something exciting coming down the pipeline.
I sure hope so, man. I really do. I want something to get excited about because this is if this trend were to continue, I would be worried about how this season's going to go. But I don't think it's going to. I think it's early. I'm not down by any means. I'm just saying if this is the trajectory, I don't know if I would even pick them to win the division. That's just being real. So I got to see something. I got to see something shake. Brother Bob says, yes, I tell my clients when they don't make sense. And then Shady Luke says, Niners fans talk huge names with corner names. I think your guy's best shot is realistic is Asante Samuel Jr.
I like Asante Samuel Jr. That wouldn't be bad, especially if you don't have to pay him like huge money. He'd be Asante Samuel Jr., Mooney Ward on the outside, and Demo on in the nickel is a really good cornerback room. But I do think that they'll go with somebody bigger.
I think Greg Newsome's the guy, man. That's still the one I'm holding out hope for, because and he fits the criteria, because you're going to probably give up a second. You are getting a young guy who's a year away from having to be paid, so he can fit the timeline as far as helping you win. He fits the timeline as far as when he needs to be paid. And I just Newsome or somebody like that, somebody in a similar situation as Newsome, that's a move that they have to make. So we'll see. Hopefully that's a move that they can make still.